Oh, hello guys. It's been a while since I've actually been on YouTube, so this is gonna be like a update stream, I guess. But because usually I stream my Roblox developing, on Twitch. So uh, I decided, what, let me do YouTube because people obviously they like to watch my content. So where am I? Okay. So this game basically, make sure the testing UI goes here. Um, this is the server. Okay, I'm gonna have the server on one side and my players here, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Um, so this is the host view. This is a regular player view. So they really can't do much with the controls, but you can add friend, avatar, donate. On the host view, you can control, contestant, mod, co-host, kick, stuff like that. You can also do like a poll. You can also change, the map and whatnot. So, the issue we're having is I go ahead and I make, somebody's seat here. I can make them swap and swap and swap. Um, then I can make them a contestant. But if I do that, they still have a seat. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna fix that issue, and that's in the global manager here. So this entire game is ran in like a framework kind of. Um, so you got your HUD controller. So all this is like your client stuff's usually in the replicated storage, and then your server stuff's here in the server. Um, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna find where it's contestant. So judge. So we're gonna add a function here where so what happens is they don't have a seat um, check. Um, so we're gonna add that real fast. So if they're not a contestant, they're gonna just remove them. So that's just to toggle them. But we're gonna check if target player get attribute seat ID. So then we know that they have a seat. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna save that as a variable. Then we're gonna look for the workspace seat. So and we're gonna do if the workspace seat is equal to target player, and we're just gonna say workspace set attribute. We're gonna set it to nil. So I didn't script this game. I'm just telling you right now. I didn't script this game. This is not how I would have. But we're gonna set the target player as well to nil, and that's gonna fix that. Um, that'll fix that issue, and I'm obviously gonna have to do that for the judges too, because in certain modes, uh, that's just gonna set an issue up. Um, it's just gonna set the issue up, but we're just gonna add this function here. It's the same deal. Um, but I may end up removing that once we get to testing that game. So let's go ahead. The server's going to open up on my other screen, but then my two other players should, I guess they're opening up on this side. Okay, that's fine. So we got our host side and we have our player side. Okay. We're going to assign to contestant 1. Let me change audio to so you guys can actually hear what's going on. Cool. So what happens is I swapped. Player 2 is now at seat 1. We're going to make spectator. And then we're going to make them here. We're going to make them here. So it looks like play. I just found another. This whole contestant system is just you know. It's just a beautiful system here. So what I was having issues with was whenever I would make them a contestant, the seat would be boom. Um, but you see the glitch here? You see the glitch that's going on? It's because uh, whenever somebody gets removed from the seat or whatever, for whatever reason, it just doesn't remove them entirely. So um, remove player seat. Actually, I think there's already a function in here called on player remove, on player exit. So we're just gonna call that in here. Um, if it's got the seat ID, then we'll do match service, call match method, on player exit, and what else does it want to call? Player, and then the server object. Um, we're gonna do target player, and then we're gonna do match service, get server object. So that's the right way to do it, just so we aren't there. And then I want to see any other function that says that sets the seat to nil. Sets the seat to nil. Because if you try to set the seat to nil, it's just gonna. Yep, see. Um, we're just gonna set their seat to nil. Actually, let me double check that code. Yep. So we're just gonna call this function. That's gonna make sure that they aren't set in the table because there's a table in here, and there's a table in every map. Um, that sets them basically sets them off. So that's that function. So it just this is the table I'm telling you about. And what happens is whenever you set somebody in the seat off on the server side of things without calling this script, whenever I try to seat them, it's gonna just see them as their old seat and it's just gonna mess it all up. That's the issue we're having now. Um, Set the stream bit rate. I gotta set the stream bit rate. How do you set the stream bit rate? We go file. What do they want? 6,800? Oh. Let's bring that all the way up. Okay. Bitrate has been increased. Let's bring the host side over. Let's bring the player side over. And let's get to testing. So, contestant seat. We're still having that issue. Cool. Let's go to find contestant seat because that's the function. Okay. Okay. So, teleport to seat function. What's going to happen is, um, we're just going to run this command. We're going to run it again. I don't even want to fix the freaking, I don't even want to fix the teleport function. We're just going to add that little function there. That little function there will be called when they successfully be teleported over to the contestant side. And we're just going to double check that contestant isn't considered player in a seat. So we're going to assign them to contestant, assign them to a seat, and assign them to contestant again. And look at that. Seat 2 should be -2. Yep, -2. So what we're gonna do is, if it's there and not there, then what we'll do is we'll also run a quick thing here. We're gonna run a quick I in, I think there's 6 seats in some of the maps. I equals 1 and 6 do. Workspace get attribute. We're going to do a seat underscore I equals target player dot user ID. Then we're gonna set that to nil. I think that's it. We're also going to just call this function just to make sure that they're not in the table. We're just going to manually just fix this issue with outside scripting because this framework scripting kind of stinks. Whoever wrote this kind of stink that logic. Okay, beautiful. So the only issue is whenever they're in a contestant seat. So like if I look at player 1, there's a seat ID still attached to him. There's still a seat ID. It's still attached to him, which I don't like. So this is one of them things where I gotta go here. I gotta go find teleport to seat. What happens is if it has a seat ID, they get nilled out. But since he has a seat ID, but since there's no seat ID, they're just gonna get set to audience. And we're just gonna print player.name print headed to audience. So I'm just going to read the server code here. This is me debugging in my head, trying to figure out what's going on. what's going on here. All right, place. This is the server side, okay? And what I'm basically going to be waiting for is whenever I put the player here, and then I end up wanting to swap. So let's look at the server code. Headed to audience. Yep. So he got called audience, and um, we're gonna do contestant. We're gonna put a variable here. Local is contestant. Oh, I'm on the server side of it. Let me clear that. So what's happening is in here, excuse me, it doesn't know that he's headed to be a contestant. Uh, so we're gonna add the function here. Um, if the person who's trying to call this is a contestant, then we're gonna do if. We're gonna put is contestant equals player get attribute contestant. So we're gonna copy this over to that. And since we know they're contestant, it's gonna see, oh, there's no seed ID. Else, but we're gonna run this command. Else if is contestant, then so they're contestant. They have no seed ID. If they don't have a seed ID, then they're gonna look for the current seat, which is 1. And since it's not equal to player, they're gonna stop their thing. Else, it's gonna send them back, but we're gonna do a little command here. We're gonna do print swap seat, and then we're gonna print player. We're gonna print player dot name. I want to see who. I'm trying to think of the logic here in my head. Okay, you gotta let me think here because obviously something's going on. Now what sucks is this is gonna cause me to patch all the maps with the same bit of code. Um, it's not all one deal. So let's go to look at the server. It's in the seat function. Okay. When it's in the seat function, we're gonna go to teleport to. Okay. It's in the seat function, but it should have. So we'll have to probably just code it in here. If player get attribute contestant, then swapping target player. Oh wait, no, we're gonna do if they're a contestant and they're wanting a seat. Okay, what sucks is this has to be done in the barnyard code. So I want to know when it fires this. I want to know when it fires this. So we're gonna print player dot name, and it should just fire it twice. I want to know when it fires this, because obviously this is player 2. Um, bring back the. Okay, see. See, what happens is it pushes them away. I want to know if I can write else if is contestant, then it's going to remove the player from being a contestant, but we know the current seat. Okay, so that's why it's calling it, is because the current seat is wanting to move whoever's in the current seat. But since we know the player calling is a contestant, then we'll just do barnyard mode, add contestant, and then we'll do current seat, and then the function for add contestant, player, and then server object. We'll do server object. We'll do add contestant, current seat, server object. Beautiful, beautiful. I think we just fixed the code here. Slowly but surely, we are fixing this game. Slowly but surely. Because they wanna release it today. So we're gonna assign. Okay, so it looks like we've got some issues here. So if we add contestant, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to teleport by role as well. Teleport by role. So we're gonna have to run that. Barnyard mode, teleport by role, current seat, server objects. And that should fix that. I thought maybe add contestant would call that function automatically, but I guess not. Okay, wrong one. I want to bring this one over. Okay. So it looks like contestant 1 has yet to. So I think what's happening is if there is a contestant, they're going to add the contestant. Okay, so what it's going on is the workspace isn't being set up properly. So then we'll workspace, set attribute, contestant underscore 1, current seat user ID. Okay, cool. I think that's our issue. That's our issue. See? Okay, bring the host UI here. Player 2, assign. Yep, beautiful. Let me go on break real fast. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's go ahead and test it. Guys, I think I may have fixed the entire system. So if I make a contestant. Okay. I think the last issue is if I do contestant. Okay, let's recheck that real fast. Just updating the developer group chat. Let's go player 1 here. Let's just swip them out. And then and you see how now it says seat is taken. So seat 1 is -2. So, like I said, we might have to call that function again, where we do the 1 and whatever. Whenever they do contestant seat. It's just how it is. Just run that function there. And then for the rest of the maps, we're just gonna add that special function. Okay, player 2, assign. Then player 1, we're gonna make contestant. Beautiful. Let's double check. Player 2 doesn't have any tags to it. Perfect. Okay, player 1 has a seat ID. Tells me something's going on with the with the seat ID system. Or we're gonna print target player.name. me double check whenever you do the on player exit. Okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. Assign the contestant. Player 1. Make contestant. Okay, player 1. Okay, so we know that the target players is gonna be player 1. So we're gonna play this. Gonna print true. I'm gonna figure out why we aren't able to see why it's not making us a contestant. Yeah, so it's true, but they still have the seed ID. So we're gonna see if that function gets called on player exit. Okay, there was a missing function there. Okay, cool. Cool, there was a missing thing to set the attribute to nil. Maybe that's why this whole thing's got a bug to it. Because you're setting that player nil. Okay, contestant. Called true, true, true. Well, since they got a seat ID, but they didn't find the seat, we're gonna, it's true. We're gonna rewrite this function a little bit. Since we know they have a seat ID, we're gonna do workspace, get attribute, seat underscore seat ID equals player user ID, then set a seat nil. If they don't have it, we're still gonna set the seat ID nil, but we're gonna let the workspace set it nil, because what we don't want happening is if this seat's owned by somebody, we just don't want to remove them all altogether outright. But we're still gonna set their attribute to nil. So we should be able to add the player to contestant. We're gonna assign to that seat, and then we're gonna make them contestant. And then we're gonna go to player 2, and boom, beautiful. So this function here is working as it should. Cool, cool. Let's go ahead and add it to all the maps. Let's go to BuzzEnd next. Let's bring this script out here and go to every. Let's start with add contestant. Actually, we'll fix this on player exit. Seat ID, then we're going to do if server object dot current seats seat ID equals player dot user ID, then and if kind of similar to what we were doing here. But we're still going to set the seat ID to nil. Okay. I want them to test the rest of this, but for the judge seat, we're going to do the remove contestant judge function. Okay, cool. Pretty much I'm going to publish it, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to let them know test again, and we're going to see that. But thanks, guys. If you guys end up watching this, appreciate y'all.